Alright, it is 7:30 in the morning on a Sunday. I usually sleep in, but I am headed to St. Louis this morning for Anna and Jack Tatone are having a posing seminar for the Midwest. So I'm gonna go to that. I have a client I'm gonna go to that with, and then probably go shopping with Pearl. I'm gonna take Pearl with me, so she'll be good when she's there. She's literally grown up in the competing world, so she understands, and she does really good actually. She'll sit and play with her toys and stuff while I pose and interact with people. So anyway, I'm gonna take you through my day in the life of a Sunday, not getting to sleep in, but it's for a really good thing. So anyway, I'm gonna get my lift in, and then I'm gonna get ready, and then Pearl and I will be headed to St. Louis. We made it to St. Louis. Say hi, Pearl.
Hi.
We stopped for about 5 minutes more we need to be. So I stopped and got her some McDonald's. I have my chicken and green beans I'm gonna eat. And I got a large Diet Coke. You having fun so far? Yeah.
I like me.
So we're gonna go to the posing seminar, and then Pearl and I are gonna do a little bit of shopping, and then we're gonna go home. Say bye.
Bye.
Bye. Something in bikini I've had to learn is like my backside comes in way after the front is don't move around too much. Like I feel like a lot of bikini now, like they'll be in the back and they'll try to go back and they'll try like.
Oh my God, thank you.
I know that I go stay down as well, so I literally hold my front pose no longer than I need to, and I get turned back around because from the front, I'm leaner than the back, and I know that that's my.
Exactly what I'm saying. Find the poses that work best for you.
Okay, so another recap of the past 2 weeks of prep. Here we go. I am officially 9 weeks out. I'm so freaking excited. We're in single digits. Things got turned up quite a bit today from Paul. So before this check-in, so last week's check-in, I was 135, and then he set my macros at 150 carb, 45 fat, 140 protein, with with 2 refeed days of 190 carb. And then we had 70 minutes of cardio 6 days a week. So I checked in today. I was down a pound of 134.5, which is pretty much my lowest weight that I've been all prep. Visually, I look much leaner as well, so good things are happening. So he turned it up quite a bit on me, but we need to get my backside to come in, and I am, willing to do what is needed to be done to make that happen. So I am now on 100 carb, 40 fat, 140 protein with 2 high days of 180 carb, 35 fat, and 130 protein. And my cardio is now 90 minutes, 6 days a week. All that sounds very extreme, but in a prep, sometimes depending on a person's body, you have to do kind of more extreme measures, but you do it in bouts. So we'll do, a push, and then we'll pull back probably in diet break between now and then, and we'll just keep doing that to give me a little bit of, you kind of put the gas on and then you pull it back. And that's what we'll do to finish out these 9 weeks. And then 2 weeks after my show in St. Louis, I'm gonna be doing Girl Power in Orlando, Florida. So I'm really freaking excited for that show. I get to do it with my friend Kelly. We competed together in 2019. I'll put a picture here of us. It was the best time. It's kind of when I first met her, and we've been best friends, inseparable since. So I'm really excited to compete with her again and just get to see her and share backstage with her. So this week I wanted to go over, because I've had a lot of questions from my clients, so I thought it would be helpful for everybody that watches this as well, in terms of when you track macros, what should be tracked? Do you track everything? So when you're in a contest prep, and even when you're not, so when you're tracking macros and you have a set goal, it's really important to be as 100% as you can. So what I mean is, all of your food is weighed out to the ounce or the gram. So meat, typically I weigh it after I cook it. Rice, pasta is a tricky one. Typically I like to try to weigh that out before I cook it, because once you cook it, the weight can be different just depending on how much water is absorbed when you cook it. So everything is weighed out. If I add something to my coffee, if I use a condiment, if I cook with a butter or an oil, every single thing has to be weighed, and not just like, okay, let's say you're doing a tablespoon of peanut butter. You can't just use a tablespoon, because our eyes most of the time will overcompensate and give us a little bit more. So when you actually weigh that out, you get a realistic idea of what a serving size is. And you don't have to track macros forever. A lot of my clients, especially if they're new to it, it can seem really overwhelming, but if you can just put in the extra time to do it, for the lifespan of, you know, your nutrition, you'll always remember that serving size. Even when you're not tracking anymore and you're just, you know, genuinely living life, you know, and eating intuitively, you're going to remember what a true serving size actually is. Know what a true serving size is through tracking macros. You really learn how to properly portion a meal with carb, fat, and protein. So I've had a lot of clients where I do tell them, like, this is what, you know, you have to track everything, but then sometimes I'll get emails 1 month, 2 months into coaching, and they're like, hey, should I be tracking my oil that I'm cooking with? And that can add up so quickly. And just for the long term, or for the short term, I guess, weighing everything out and being as, you know, as 100% as you can week to week gives really good data in terms of, do we need to make changes? Because if you're having extra bites or having things where you're just kind of guesstimating when you're tracking, then that can really throw off whether you need adjustments or not, you know, where your true hunger levels are. So I just want to kind of say, anybody who tracks macros, make sure you're tracking everything. As kind of annoying or tedious as it might seem at the time, it really is good for long-term success, and it's good for your coach or just yourself if you're doing it on your own, to give yourself a really good idea of where your hunger levels are, if you need to make adjustments or not. Because some people, if they're not tracking 100% and they don't see a weight loss, they might be like, oh, I need to drop my calories by 100, and then they're just kind of shoving themselves further down into a deficit that's not really needed. And I have, you know, also in terms of clients, I'll have people that aren't 100%, and then sometimes they're like, why aren't you making adjustments? And I think it's important to understand that it's okay. Everybody, I mean, everyone is going to have weeks when they're not 100%, where they had extra bites or something happens. But as a coach, I have, you know, my client's best interest at heart, and not wanting them, you know, the further you have to get into a deficit and the kind of more aggressive you get, the harder it can be mentally and physically on you. And then just coming out of that diet in terms of long-term success, you know, people who have to get more aggressive, typically a reverse is pretty hard in the beginning, you know, kind of like a contest prep. When you're, you know, stage lean and your macros are low and your cardio is high, it's hard to dig yourself out of that at the end. You really have to be very diligent in tracking, in my opinion, even more diligent in tracking, and a reverse at first, to really give your body time to recover and your mind time to recover. So I hope that was helpful. If anybody has questions on tracking, if you should track something, how I track certain foods, put it in the comments below. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. So thank you for listening. I am 9 weeks out.